You've seen these job postings, right? Looking for a dynamic, stress-resistant ninja with 5 years of experience in a field we literally invented last Tuesday, salary negotiable. Our team is a family. You send off your crisp little PDF file that you spent 2 sleepless nights polishing, and radio silence. Absolute zero. Not even an automated thanks for applying, but you suck email. They just swallowed your time and vanished into thin air. So you sit there thinking, man, I should have mentioned that I volunteered at a raccoon shelter. That definitely would have turned the tide. Nah, man. It's got nothing to do with you or your raccoons. Take my neighbor Brian. The guy is a walking, talking cliché. He owns a button-down shirt specifically for Zoom calls, drinks black coffee because he read somewhere that successful guys do it, and he spent 6 months applying to this one pathetic IT firm. He passed round 1, passed round 2, and by round 3 they told him, Brian, you're an absolute analytics god, we love you, but we gotta put this position on pause due to optimization. Brian, of course, went home, cried in the shower, ate a whole box of glazed donuts, and decided he was a total loser. 4 days later, that exact same job pops right back up on LinkedIn, marked as urgent. You want to know the punchline? Nobody ever intended to hire Brian. That job literally doesn't exist in the physical universe. A former financial analyst from a very fancy corporation with a logo shaped like a half-eaten fruit once spilled the beans over a glass of cheap bourbon. There's this little trick called painting a pretty ass for the investors. If a company is traded on the stock market or trying to snag another multi-million-dollar government grant under the guise of creating jobs for the youth, they desperately need to fake continuous growth. But how do you fake growth when your profits are nose-diving into a dumpster and the only living thing left in your office is a security guard and a dying ficus plant? Easy! You post 50 ghost jobs. Rich dudes in suits that cost more than your kidney look at those charts and say, holy crap, look at these guys expanding, buy their stock. Meanwhile, hundreds of Bryans are sitting in their bedrooms, rewriting their cover letters for the 10th time, worrying their breath stinks through the computer screen. It's not a job market, it's corporate cannibalism, where your time and sanity are used as free fuel to bump their stock market valuation by 0.5%. When a job listing sits open for 6 months and automatically updates its posting date every Monday morning, they aren't looking for a unicorn. It's just an accountant making the numbers look pretty on a slide deck. And then there's my personal favorite move, free R&D. A buddy of mine, a graphic designer, spent 3 whole days cranking out a quick test assignment for a super trendy marketing agency. They asked him to redesign an entire brand concept for a coffee shop chain. He drew everything for them, from the logo to the custom typography on the paper cups. He sent it off. They hit him back with a cookie cutter. Sorry, we went with a candidate who has more coffee experience. 2 months later, he's walking down Main Street and sees a brand new coffee shop with his logo, with his fonts. And even with that goofy little beaver on the cup that he drew at 3 in the morning, they literally just collected 30 test assignments from naive guys, cobbled together a full campaign, sold it to a real client for 50 grand, and handed the candidates a middle finger. So you sit there, looking at all this madness, thinking, okay, so what now? Put a cardboard box over my head and go live in the woods? You could do that. But there's simpler math here. Stop knocking on doors where the doorknob is just a picture drawn on a piece of paper. Every single person I know who isn't currently chewing on stale bread didn't walk through the front gate with the HR clowns and screening algorithms. One guy just tracked down a lead developer on Twitter from a company he wanted to work at and shot him a direct message. Hey man, your homepage button is busted and the plugin is crashing. Here's a screenshot of the issue and a snippet of code to fix it. Pass it to your team so they can patch it. That was it. No interviews. No 5-stage personality test to see if your zodiac sign aligns with the CEO's cat. No where do you see yourself in 5 years. They messaged him back the next morning and said, "Dude, you saved us a ton of headaches. Sign this contract." When you throw your resume into a button that says "Easy Apply," you're just buying a lottery ticket for a raffle that doesn't even have winning numbers in the bucket. There's a robot sitting there that's going to reject you simply because you saved your file in the wrong font or forgot to cram the word synergy into your text. The whole machine is engineered to wear you down, break your spirit, and get you to accept pennies on the dollar. If the game was rigged by hustlers, the only way not to lose is to stop playing by their rules. Stop trying to sell yourself like a template piece of paper. Go find the people whose asses are actively on fire from real business problems and show them how you can put out the flames. Because nobody pays you for a pretty resume. People pay you to make their headache finally go away. Picture your coworker who just wrapped up a 12-hour shift, did the workload of 3 people, and during the end-of-day meeting, the manager looks at him with the face of a grieving mother and says, "All right, guys, we just got to push a little harder. We're all in the same boat." And your coworker, wiping the sweat off his forehead, genuinely believes that somewhere deep inside the HR department, recruiters are working overtime to find him an assistant. After all, the job posting is live. It's been sitting on the site for 4 months, freshly updated 15 minutes ago. Here's the punchline. There is no assistant coming. Your coworker is just pulling the weight of 2 horses for the price of 1 stale bagel. And that job opening is a psychological pacifier to keep him from quitting on the spot today. Welcome to circus trick number 2, the carrot for the exhausted donkey. My buddy Mark worked in system administration. The guy single-handedly kept the servers running for a 300-person firm. When his hair started falling out from stress and coffee stopped having any effect on his nervous system, he walked into his boss's office and said, "Man, I'm falling apart. I need a second admin." The boss slapped him on the back, handed him a mug that said "Best Employee," and told him the job opening was already live. Mark waited 6 months. He checked that job listing every single day. He even verified it was active himself. And that kept him going. He kept thinking, just a little longer. They'll hire someone soon. I just got to push through 1 more week. 8 months in, Mark accidentally walked into the HR manager's office while she stepped out for her pumpkin spice latte, and he caught a glimpse of her open tracking spreadsheet. You want to guess how many candidates were marked as invite to interview? 0. They hadn't even opened the applications. They were literally just keeping the listing active so Mark wouldn't slam the server room keys on the desk and walk out into the sunset. It's pure psychological extortion. Companies use ghost jobs as a free sedative for a workforce that's burning down to ash. As long as you believe help is on the way, you keep doing the work of 3 people for a single paycheck. They hadn't even opened the applications. They were literally just keeping the listing active so Mark wouldn't slam the server room keys on the desk and walk out into the sunset. It's pure psychological extortion. Companies use ghost jobs as a free sedative for a workforce that's burning down to ash. As long as you believe help is on the way, you keep doing the work of 3 people for a single paycheck. And that's where the next lever kicks in. Artificial market depression. When a company floods job boards with insane requirements and a salary that could barely buy you 3 packs of instant ramen and a beaten-up bicycle, your eye starts twitching involuntarily. You look at it and think, crap, there must be a massive recession if this much work only pays peanuts. You lower your expectations. You get docile. And when you finally land an interview somewhere else and they offer you a rate 30% below market value, you don't turn around and walk away. You kiss their ring and ask where to sign. They artificially drag down the value of your time by creating the illusion that there's a line of 5,000 starving experts outside the door, ready to work for pocket change. Except there is no line. There's only you, a broken algorithm, and a bunch of managers playing psychological poker with your sanity. Once you get that, The big picture finally clicks. If you see a company that's been searching for months for someone to fill an urgent role, while their current employees are losing their minds from overwork, that's not a job opening. That's a mousetrap. You're either never getting in because your application goes straight to the trash, or you get in and realize you're the new donkey they hung a fresh carrot in front of. Don't anchor your worth to the numbers they paint on their fake listings. Your skills don't magically become cheaper just because some corporation decided to shave money off their annual budget. Look for places that value tangible results, not places looking for another slave to join a corporate family where everybody secretly hates each other. Imagine walking into a bar, stepping up to the bartender, and saying, "Hey man, hit me with a cold beer." The bartender stares at you with dead eyes and replies, "I'm sorry, but your sentence lacked the keywords Pilsner, crystal glass, and golden foam, so I am forced to throw you out through the back alley." Sounds like absolute schizophrenia, right? But that is literally how the system standing between you and your next paycheck operates. Welcome to the digital Bermuda Triangle, governed by ATS, Applicant Tracking Systems. These are automated resume screening bots that corporations installed so their HR managers could quietly sip their matcha lattes and film TikToks about how hard it is to find the right candidate. A guy who spent years configuring these algorithms for massive companies once leaked the cold, hard truth online. A living, breathing human being never sees 98% of applications. 98! You could be a genius, you could hold 3 master's degrees, and you could have saved an orphan from a burning building, but if your resume is saved in a file format this electronic calculator doesn't like, or if you wrote management instead of project leadership, that's it. Your file drops straight into the digital wood chipper. I got a buddy named Dan. Dan's a systems architect. The guy could build a functioning server infrastructure out of tree branches and duct tape during a nuclear apocalypse. He was job hunting for 4 straight months. He crafted this gorgeous resume in a fancy graphic editor, custom fonts, icons, skill charts, looking sleek like an Apple landing page. He applied to 200 companies. 0 responses. Complete radio silence. Dan was starting to think he got blacklisted by the Illuminati. Then a smart guy dropped a trick on him. Dan threw his pretty design right into the garbage, took a plain white document, typed it out in basic text, and straight up copy-pasted the exact phrasing from the job description into his About Me section, tweaking it so the key phrases matched word for word. And guess what? The very next week, he had 6 interviews lined up because the algorithm doesn't care about your talent. It doesn't care what a great guy you are or how bad you want the job. The bot is literally just matching letters. And here's the funniest part of the whole circus. The companies themselves are constantly losing top-tier talent because of this. They don't hire the people who actually know how to do the job. They hire the people who figured out how to trick their stupid algorithm. As a result, offices are packed with people who mastered keyword stuffing but can't tell a power outlet from a toaster, while actual professionals sit at home chewing their fingernails. And what is the HR department doing during all this? They run 5 rounds of interviews with the 3 survivors who accidentally slipped past the bot. They drag the hiring process out for months, invent test projects, ask you about your spiritual purpose in the universe, and all of it serves one purpose. If they hire someone in a single day, corporate leadership is going to ask, why the hell are we paying a staff of 5 recruiters? So they feed the machine, turning hiring into an endless hamster wheel. And somewhere along the way, you realize that trying to outcreate a Python script written by a $30 freelancer is like explaining to a washing machine that you're a great singer. It's just going to keep spinning its drum while you wait for a miracle. Have you ever had that feeling where you walk into a grocery store for a loaf of bread see a $50 price tag, head to the store next door, it's 60, try a third one, it's 55, and an hour later you legitimately believe bread actually costs 50 bucks. You stand there, counting the pocket change left in your wallet, thinking, well, I guess I'll just skip buying toilet paper this week, but I gotta buy the bread. That's just the market price. Welcome to room number 4 of this corporate psych ward. It's called psychological extortion, otherwise known as how to get you to work for a bowl of soup and have you say thank you afterward. My nephew Stephen is a solid kid, a born salesman. Well, born salesman meaning he could sell a used snowmobile to a guy in Florida in the middle of July. In a normal market, the going rate for his brain was around $2,000 a month. Stephen left his old job, fired up the job boards, and almost fell out of his chair. 80% of the new listings for his role were offering $800. $800! For a workload that would make a grown man's teeth fall out. And every single listing had all caps text reading, "Looking for stress-resistant leaders, ready for overtime, thrives in a fast-paced environment." Stephen searched for 3 months. Month 1, he laughed. Month 2, he was confused. By month 3, his eye was twitching. He stopped leaving his apartment, and he was calculating how many days a human can survive strictly on instant oatmeal. So when some sketchy company finally called him up and offered $1,000, Stephen almost burst into tears of joy, promised to clean their office fish tank with his own toothbrush, and signed the contract without even reading it. Now watch closely, because this is a classic magic trick where your self-respect magically disappears. Those $800 job posts that flooded the internet, the vast majority of them were completely fake. Analysts on specialized forums broke down this tactic ages ago. Major corporate players flood job boards with hundreds of ghost listings offering dirt cheap pay. They artificially engineer information overload. They manufacture the perception that the economy is collapsing, that there's a line of 5,000 desperate degree holders outside waiting to work for a slice of cheese, and that the labor market has crashed. Your brain gets hacked so easily. When you see that garbage every single day, your critical thinking shuts down and survival mode takes over. You lower your standards. You start believing that you're the one being greedy, that you don't deserve decent pay. And when someone finally offers you 30% less than your labor is actually worth, you treat it like a rescue rope instead of a daylight robbery. These companies aren't broke. Executive profits are soaring, shareholders are buying new yachts. But why would they pay you $2,000 if, after 3 months of wandering through this digital wasteland, you'll crawl in on your knees and settle for 1? You look at those numbers on your screen and take them as gospel, simply because they're written in bold font on a fancy website. But the real value of your mind doesn't drop just because a couple of corporate accountants decided to run an experiment in mass poverty brainwashing. They're literally just waiting for you to get tired of being scared. A guy I know named Tommy did everything by the book for years. Graduated college, built a pristine resume, printed it on high-grade paper, threw on a suit that made him look like a pastor at a high school prom, and went out to conquer the world. He dropped roughly 450 applications through the front door. You want to guess his return on investment? 2 automated emails stating his resume was kept on file, and 1 phone call offering a commission-only job selling vacuum cleaners over the phone. Tommy broke down. He sat on a park bench, yanked off his suffocating tie, bought a cheap street taco, and decided the world was built for someone else. Then luck struck. Tommy liked messing around with outdated logistics software. Weird hobby, but hey, people have hobbies. He noticed that a major delivery network site had a terrible glitch in their package tracking system. Instead of looking for their job listings on employment portals, Tommy opened up social media, found a guy with the title Head of Logistics, shot him a direct message, and said, "Hey man, Tommy liked messing around with outdated logistics software. Weird hobby, but hey, people have hobbies. He noticed that a major delivery network site had a terrible glitch in their package tracking system. Instead of looking for their job listings on employment portals, Tommy opened up social media, found a guy with the title Head of Logistics, shot him a direct message, and said, "Hey man, come by the office tomorrow morning. Let's talk." No HR screenings, no 5 rounds of psychological evaluations, no stupid questions about what kind of fruit would you be if you were a fruit. The front door to any legitimate company today is completely barricaded. You've got ghost listings for stock investors, HR assistants whose primary goal is discarding 98% of applications to lighten their own workload, and brain-dead algorithms hunting for punctuation marks instead of talent. Banging on that door and praying for a miracle is like trying to headbutt a concrete wall when there's an open side gate sitting right next to it. The winner isn't the person who fills out standardized application forms the best. The winner is the person who spots where a business is actively on fire and walks up with a bucket of water before they even get the chance to post a job opening online. Real money and real positions aren't sitting under shiny signs that say we're hiring. They're sitting right where the actual pain is, where real problems are piling up and where managers are sick and tired of incompetence. When you bring them a cure for their headache before they even think about calling HR, that whole machine of ghost jobs, screening bots, and fake listings just crumbles into dust.